Hey everyone. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Conscious Conversion podcast. I'm grateful to have you here. As of today, it is March 20th at the time of this recording, and we are still and probably will continue to be in the midst of some wild, wild times on our planet, and everything is not business as usual. Everything is wildly different than how it was 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 days ago. And so my interviews are also different, and they're becoming right now at least a lot more sort of organic and vulnerable, and maybe even a less about business and just more about how the fuck are you doing right now? How are we all doing right now? We're in this together. Let's talk about it as vulnerably and openly as we can, because there's not a single person on this planet who is not going through these waves of fear, optimism, over and over again. And so, yeah, let's dive in. I'm really excited about my guest today, Emma Zeck. She is an intuitive empath, a writer, beautiful writer, a photographer, artist, and all-around creative. Her healing modalities center around codependency and love addiction, generational trauma, boundaries, shadow work, inner child healing. She has extensive experience with narcissistic abuse and dysfunctional family systems. She has become an expert in healing from codependency and love addiction, or people who continue to find themselves dating abusive or emotionally unavailable partners. Emma is a transitional character in her family lineage, meaning she has been called to break the cycle of trauma, thank you so much, abuse, and oppression that her ancestors passed on to her. She is on the path of healing, has walked this path, and knows how painful and isolating it can be. She typically works with people who have similar experiences and are looking to break free from the painful experiences, such as repeating cycles of toxic relationships, suffering from narcissistic abuse, or being raised in an unhealthy or otherwise abusive environment. Raised in a small town of Leavenworth, Kansas, Emma now resides in Kansas City. By the way, I was raised in Missouri, so we've got the Midwest in common. Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, what a timely time to talk about trauma.
Yeah, we're going through it.
We are going through it. It might be a slightly different kind of trauma than, although, people are trapped at home with their families right now. There's all sorts of macro and micro level traumas probably happening. I'm super grateful to have you on the show today, and I'm thank you so much for being here. And let's just...
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here too.
All of my interviews and meetings and, with clients and potential clients, they've all just been so deep and heartfelt right now. And so, yeah, it's no different with you. And
I love that. I think that's, I feel like that's what people need right now. I think that we're all collectively, if we're not necessarily feeling financially or emotionally really affected, which I don't know how anybody wouldn't be by this current situation. If not that, I feel like it's bringing up a lot of maybe unresolved trauma that folks maybe didn't know was sort of residing in their system. So
wow, yeah,
crazy time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you recently, so you've got what did we say, 31,000 followers on Instagram?
39,000 followers.
Oh my God, I was off by 8,000.
You're fine.
You have 38,000 followers on Instagram, and several thousand of those came in the last 3 days because you published on your Instagram an amazing poem that was shared virally. It went viral.
Yeah, it did.
Can you tell us about the inspiration for that poem? Maybe like who shared it? Just tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So during this time, I'm very privileged to be able to, I have to worry about my finances, but not as much as some other folks are really having to worry about where their next meal is going to come from. And so I do have a lot of free time. And I sort of just noticed that I sort of heard this part of me that was like, okay, Emma, with all this free time, we need to really get on that book that you want to write, or we need to make an online course for people, or do all these things, or you're going to work out every single day for an hour and you're going to have the best ass by summertime. All of these things were sort of just flooding my brain and my body. And I sort of just like took a step back and realized that I truly believe that this whole pandemic is really, obviously there's a lot of things that are going to shift from it, but one thing that I really feel like is being called to shift in society and then in each of us individually is just this capitalistic, just money hungry, power hungry, just system that has really, I believe that's a virus too that has really, really infected and hurt people for generations. And so I just sort of, as I was thinking all those things that I need to get done, all the ways that I must be productive with all this free time, I was like, what if I didn't do any of those things? Like, what if this actually was a time for me to like stop equating my worth with how much I produce and stop thinking that if I'm not working all the time that I'm lazy or unproductive, and actually just stop using lazy and unproductive in general and completely like threw those words in the trash. And so yeah, I feel like, so I wrote those words, and then it's crazy because I wonder if it was like I sort of was picking up that I feel like a lot of people in the collective were sort of thinking those same things, that like now we have all this free time. Like, what if instead of learning how to do all these things, we just instead learned how to be and be with ourselves and feel feelings that we maybe have not felt before and things like that. So yeah, I would love to read it if that's okay.
I would be honored if you read it. Yes.
Amazing. I've never read it out loud, which is kind of weird. So
I'm honored to be the first to receive that.
Amazing. So, okay. With this open time, you do not have to write the next best-selling novel. You do not have to get in the best shape of your life. You do not have to start that podcast. What you can do instead is observe this pause as an opportunity. The same systems we see crumbling in society are being called to crumble in each of us individually. The systems that taught us we are machines that live to produce and we are disposable if we are not doing so. The systems that taught us monetary gain takes priority over humanity. The systems that create our insecurities then capitalize off of them. What if we became curious with this free time and had no agenda other than to experience being? What if you created art for the sake of creating? What if you allowed yourself to rest and cry and laugh and play and get curious about whatever arises in you? What if our true purpose is in this space? As if Mother Earth is saying, we can no longer carry on this way. The time is now. I am reminding you who you are. Will you remember?
God, that's so good.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate
I'm like,
that.
I think my skin's going to fall off from goosebumps.
Yeah, I just got chills too, which is it's cool. I'm like, I don't know how I wrote that, you know? I'm like, damn.
Girl, that was channeled.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't usually say those things because I don't want to be like, I am so spiritual, and but I think it was because I'm like, damn, I don't know how the hell I wrote that.
Channeling just means getting your own damn self out of the way. That's all that means.
Exactly. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's exactly, I didn't articulate it in the exact same way or I would have thousands of new followers. But I have been feeling that so deeply, like in my, I've been saying sort of like this is the gentlest slap in the face that Mother Earth could possibly give us, given what we've been doing to her.
Exactly. That's so true. And all the things about how, like, I mean, I'm sure you've read them about how like Italy's canals are like the clearest they've been and ever, like, and since we've ever, like, I don't know, like, and like China, their pollution has gone down a lot and things like that. So not to say that like Mother Earth created this, or God or the universe or whatever created this pandemic to, like, because people are dying and it is very traumatic. But I think we can instead, if we choose to, use it as an opportunity and see it as just like a pause. And, you know, if people don't decide to do that, then that's fine. Like, however people are coping, and like, it's fine. There's no right or wrong way to go about this. There's no pamphlet on how to survive a pandemic, you know? Like, maybe there is, I don't know, but there's no right or wrong way.
Certainly not in this day and age when people can travel so easily, and, you know, like, this is a whole new world. And I completely agree with you that this is an opportunity to usher in a new paradigm and to get off of the capitalist rat race and
Yep.
we're like looking at extremely creative ways to come together. If we can't come together, if we're socially distancing and we can't come together physically, how can we come together over Zoom calls? Zoom. I mean, I've been saying like I should have bought stock in Zoom a few months ago because, oh my God.
I never even thought about that. That's a really good point. Darn it. Missed the mark on that one.
I know. Yeah, so people are having to get extremely creative about how to help each other and how to come together as a community across, and we live in a world where the technology allows for that, and how grateful. I mean, I'm flooded. It comes in waves where I'm alternately grateful and optimistic and excited about the opportunity that we have right now to dive deep within ourselves and to reach out to each other in ways that we've never been able to before, or never thought to do before. And then,
Absolutely.
and then hit with the terror of, oh my God, what's going to happen to my business? And oh my God, what's going to happen to my rent payment? And oh my God, what's going to happen to my kid? And, you go from like, scared for myself to scared for the planet to, wait, this is actually amazing. Yep. We're entering a new collective consciousness here.
That's
anyway,
so true. No, I completely agree. And I think it's okay. I babble all the time. So we're on the same page. I wrote another poem this morning. I won't read it, but I posted on my Instagram. Okay. So it's
poetry hour of this podcast interview.
Amazing. I mean, it's not like the most positive. I mean, it's just very enlightening, and how I feel like a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, I want to go back to normal. Like, I want things to go back to the way they were. And I'm like, what a privilege that statement reeks of privilege, and I've even said that I want things to go back to normal, but like the normal that benefits so many of us, specifically in America, is so violent to so many other people. And so it's like, how do we create a new normal that's not going back to the old ways? Because clearly, as I think you would agree, like Mother Earth is saying like, no, like we're not doing this anymore, and so we can't go back to normal, because I think normal really kills a lot of people.
It does. And she's like, if you won't do it for me and for the collective, will you do it for yourself here?
Exactly. Exactly. And so it's like almost that it took something this astronomical to really wake everybody up. I can read it if you want me to.
Hell yeah. Bring it.
Okay. Okay. If going back to normal means folks are afraid to go to the doctor because they will be deported, and we call human beings illegal, and homelessness persists while there are over 17 million vacant homes in America, and families are separated, and prisons are overcrowded, and healthcare is inaccessible, and wealth is hoarded while folks struggle to pay bills and put food on the table. And we live to work and then die for corporations who exploit us and the earth's resources, and we continue to define our worth by contributions to a company's bottom line. And in order to be successful, we must set aside our emotional and spiritual nature to comply with the unchecked capitalistic machine that favors the privileged, while the marginalized are told to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, as if the very nature of their marginalization was not created by the privileged in the first place. And we continue to see folks' struggles as their own lack of hard work, as if they are individualized issues, rather than as issues that are created by this quote-unquote normal that many of us have so comfortably made a home in. You see, it seems as though the normal that benefits so many of us is violent to so many more. I don't want normal. I want a revolution. Let this be it.
It's so good.
Thank you. But it's like I've seen so many people who are like, I want to go back to normal, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. Yes, I want people to feel safe and things like that. Every day-to-day life, yes, like I want things to go back. I want to be able to go out with my friends and things along those lines. But if you look at it, if you zoom out and look at it from a much bigger picture, if we go back to normal, we are headed for disaster. And we're headed for continuing to really hurt and marginalize people, and to continuing to kill people, and continuing to exploit the earth's resources. And that's all because we're exploiting and killing ourselves, and these systems in society are being called, I believe, like I wrote in the first poem that I read, they're being called, we're all like, capitalism is dying and all these things, but it's like, what a beautiful time to let capitalism die in each of us individually, you know, because if all of these systems die in each of us individually first, that's when they die on a global scale, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The microcosm is always a metaphor for the macrocosm and vice versa. Yeah.
Exactly. And if we like all together consciously like learn that, I mean, obviously, as I'm sure you've heard like the quote that says your external reality is a reflection of your internal reality. And if that, I don't believe that that's necessarily 100% truth all the time. But I think if we collectively like start to shift these paradigms in us and anchor a new earth inside of us, then we will see that externally, you know?
Girl, I cannot wait to read your book. I'm not saying that you have to write it right now. I think you should just do what you need to do and take care of you, but I cannot wait to read your damn book.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. You know, it's funny because I still, even after that poem, I'm still like, oh my God, I need to write a book right now. And I'm like, who says that I need to write a book right now?
Just keep writing your poems and the book will emerge.
I'll just, honestly, I could probably just put them all in one book and be like, it's done.
There you did it. It's done.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I accept that compliment. That means a lot.
No, it's like you're really, I think you're really channeling something important, and I'm so grateful that it's being shared virally on Instagram. And if you continue to post this, I think it's going to get even bigger. So you were mentioning before I hit record, like some of the folks that had shared it, or at least one. Like,
yeah.
Tell me more about how this went down for you and how, and the impact it had on you. Cause you know, ultimately this podcast is normally about social media marketing and business and entrepreneurship. So I think, and one thing that I'm going to babble for a second, one thing that I want to convey to people, because my target market, my clients and audiences, soulful thought leaders and spiritual entrepreneurs. And I want to work with people who are channeling on behalf of the planet, on behalf of Mother Earth. And I want to get their messages out into the world as much as possible to the over 2 billion people that are on social media, because that can have a huge impact. That's like, 3 times what we need for a critical mass or a tipping point on this planet. So I'm very curious, it's one of the messages I want to send to people is if you really are tapped in, if you're really, really doing this work in a way that is diligent and that is on behalf of the planet, your shit's going to go viral. You know, people are going to see it and be like, oh my God, this is true. I have goosebumps all over my body because it's truth. And they're going to want to share it. Yeah. So you don't even have to work hard at it. You just have to be resonant.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I have people message me that are like, how did you get this many followers? And how did you do this? And I'm like, I honored myself. Like at the end of the day, like that's really what I did. I honored myself and I vowed to speak my truth. And if I lost people along the way and they told me, I get messages that are like, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, thank you. Like if that's how you feel about me, then like, amazing. Like you're entitled to your opinion, but like, I will continue to honor myself and speak my truth and not let like the fear of, oh my gosh, I'm going to look stupid, or, oh my gosh, what if nobody likes my stuff? Like hold me back. Like at the end of the day, those things are just, yes, Instagram is a great tool, but it's still just Instagram. You know, it's one little tiny bubble, and honoring ourselves and speaking our truth goes way beyond that. So, but yeah, it was cool. So I posted that, and Sarah Bareilles, the like singer, posted it, and I literally like peed myself. She posted.
Was she following you, or how did she hear about it? I wonder.
No, it just started. People just really started sharing it. Wow. And I don't know. She posted it, but I will say I was kind of frustrated because she didn't tag me, and thankfully my name was at the bottom of it, but she didn't tag me. And so I messaged her, and she somehow saw it, and she ended up tagging me, which I was really thankful for. But then Kristen Bell shared it. Wow. Mandy Moore. It was on Demi Lovato's Instagram story.
Oh, bless all these pop stars.
I know. It went really, really viral. I literally was like, what is happening? And Adrienne Marie Brown is like another author that I know. You should check out her book. She's really talented. She posted it on her page. She's one of my really good friends, like favorite authors. And she texted me. She's like, oh my God, Adrienne just like posted your poem. So it's just been really, really cool. And you know what's crazy? excuse me, I didn't even use any hashtags or anything. I literally spoke my truth, and I put it out there, and people resonated with it. So like at the end of the day, yes, we can study our market and do all these things. And while I do those things on a much larger scale, like I said, I choose to just honor myself and speak my truth. And I feel like that's where a lot of my success has come from.
Well, somewhere in there is the name of this episode, how to honor yourself and go viral.
Yeah, honestly, or maybe like the key to going viral is honoring yourself, literally. I mean, granted, I do have a lot of privilege that comes with that because I am white. Like I know that I'm an attractive person. So like there's a lot of privilege that I do have there. But beyond that, like, yes, like I truly just honor myself. And it's really, it's that complicated and that simple all at the same time.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I'm curious, do you have a vision for like the next 5 years and how you want to impact the planet over the course of the next 5 years? It's okay if you don't, but do you have a vision for that? I'm curious.
Yeah. So, I know what I know what I don't want to do. I don't want to be, not that there's anything wrong with folks who do this. This is just specifically for me. I don't want to be, a spiritual teacher who is not involved in politics. I believe to be fully, I wrote another post this was a couple weeks ago that was like, if your definition of woke seeks to protect spirituality over human rights and social justice, then you're asleep. And that's just my opinion. I believe that waking up means you wake up to all of these, yes, the spiritual world and all of these things. But if you're not also, granted, you don't have to be watching the news all the time and things like that. But if you're not at least politically aware, then I feel like it could potentially be spiritually bypassing. And so I just desire to be a spiritual teacher who is a woman of influence and who inspires folks to like tap into their spiritual nature, but also like to be aware of what's going on in the world. And because I feel like in the spiritual world, oftentimes people are like, I don't watch the news because it's negative and because it's just fear mongering. And great, while that's very true to some extent, that's also such a privilege to be able to not watch the news, and to not have to worry about these things that affect people on the daily. And so I don't know what that will look like. I really see myself doing some activism, whether it be like racial justice or like climate change, like things like that. I sort of want to like create a space where I can talk about spirituality, but I also teach people how to, I don't know, like sort of combine politics and the two. So I hope that answered your question. I feel like I went off on a tangent there.
No, I mean, I think that's amazing. So it's, yeah, I hear you. And honestly, that's, I moved down to Costa Rica 6 months ago. I have kind of detached a little bit from, so what you're saying is very much like, okay, I need to hear what Emma is telling me right now.
Which is so beautiful that like that, and that's okay. Like obviously, like I said, we can't, because if we're just in the pot and like, and just being like, oh my God, can you believe this is happening? This is happening. We're no good for anybody. So I think that's so beautiful that like you're able to do that and go down to Costa Rica
hugely
and
privileged,
be able to, it's so beautiful, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I very much have that privilege too, where I will detach for like a week or something like that. But I will gently just like remind myself, at least I believe that I was put here to like change shit and to change paradigms. And if I'm just sitting up on my spiritual high horse, not that sounded like it's a negative thing.
Don't worry, you just be you.
If I'm able to be like just spiritual and meditative all the time, like while folks are really struggling and need me to use my privilege in a way that helps them out of their shit, then like, that's just what I feel like I'm
what this brings up for me is that what can happen for people who end up detaching, what has happened probably is that their nervous system got overloaded.
100%.
So absolutely. How can we get people to, maybe it is meditation or maybe it is, how can we get people, and right now everybody hopefully is settling their nervous system by being quarantined, but how can we settle our nervous systems so that we can be more informed of what's going on in the world, so that we can sort of be tapped into that without like being overwhelmed with
Yeah.
with everything. So I think
that's a really good question. And, to be honest, I haven't figured that out for myself yet, because I think that I probably fall to the other end of the pendulum where I dive in too strong, and then my nervous system does get overwhelmed, and then it creates a burnout. And so then I need to detach for even longer. So it's like, that's a good thing to explore, is like, it's different for everybody. And I haven't figured that out for myself yet. So
well, we're in this together. Idea. That's like, I feel like the motto of the world right now. It's like the new tagline of Mother Earth, or at least of the collective consciousness, is we're in this together.
We really are, it's such a beautiful, scary, terrifying, wonderful thing all at the same time. So.
Girl, thank you so much for being here with me today and having this really vulnerable conversation and reading your poetry and speaking your truth. I am super honored and grateful, and hope it's an ongoing relationship between us, because I think you kick ass.
Thank you so much. I think you kick ass too. And it was such an honor to be here. And thank you for letting me read my poetry. I've literally never read them out loud. I was like, that's kind of cool. So thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and keep taking care of yourself and each other. And I can speak for Emma, I think we are sending you tons of love.
Yes. So much love and big hugs.
Big hugs.